Hey everyone and welcome back. And it's been a few days now since that Spezia game, and I'm still I'm still angry. I'm still angry on a few things here. But look, today we're not gonna. We know what happened. Another joyous day of being a Milan fan here. Contentious referee decisions, players quite frankly underperforming and not quite getting the job done, not taking the game maybe not taking the game seriously is the wrong way to say it, but also not being as clinical. I do think there is one player I want to highlight because it's only fair that we do that in this moment. But firstly, let's just get straight into it and let's talk about that decision. Like it's been covered a lot on social media. It's been covered a lot even on the podcast with the three guys. Did a great effort on that. Spent a lot of time just talking our way through it. I just couldn't believe what I'm seeing, and it's setting a precedent for this season that, like, I think, and this is what the guys on the podcast said was quite accurate. It was like if there's a referee decision that's based on opinion, like a penalty decision, etc. It's down to the perception of that referee if it's the right decision or not. Us as fans, we don't know. They have the assistance of VAR. It's their decision nonetheless. But something as black and white as letting advantage play on for half a second longer for the guy to strike the ball and hit the back of the net, which is in fact a goal. Like, he played advantage referee many times in that game and he decided not to on this one moment. Obviously, the referee has come under fire. He's set for a long-term suspension or whatever it might be, and he's heard that he's crying after the game. I understand for him as a person, this isn't, I don't particularly want the referee to have all these things going badly against his way, and obviously potentially his future as a referee in this league under contention. It's just the fact of the matter is that it's always us, and as much as I feel bad for referee that in this moment that he must feel like crap for it, it's always us. And we are now owed, and regardless of how petty this sounds, we're now owed 4 points from this league. The decision that went against us against Napoli when they somehow deemed Giroud to be offside, despite being underneath Juan Jesus, and it was a pathetic decision, and that let them get away with 3 points there, especially a rival in this sort of top four race / title race that we're sort of looking at here, a rival to go away with 3 points as opposed to each of us sharing 1 point. Now all of a sudden we have come away from a game where we should be getting 3 points, and regardless or not, how we were defended in the last couple of minutes, it ended up with us getting no points, and we've gone from 0 to 100 to 0 in this case, because a decision that a referee has made, which was so. This is the fundamentals of football. This is the fundamental of the basics of refereeing. Let advantage play on to the point where it's not being taken, and then you call it back for the foul. This is so simple, and I don't understand how in this moment the referee panicked and blew the whistle. When I even replayed the decision to check his line of sight. Could he not quite see Macias? He was looking at it diagonally, and beyond his diagonal was Macias, clearly there waiting to accept the ball. I just don't understand how this happens, and it's not a thing where we can sit here and it's childish and say, "Oh, this is match fixing," or Inter have rigged it, or the league's rigged it. It's not. It's just simple refereeing incompetence, and this is the thing, and it's going to. I think in my mind, it's going to come down to that, because these are points we'll never claw back. These are points that we just, consistently have to get against teams that are in the bottom half of the table, home and away, 3 points, easy, it's bread and butter. Because if you want to win the league, if you want to get top four, you have to get these points. You can't keep slipping up. And, it's bad enough we're going into games with Juventus and Inter Milan, missing crucial players. Obviously, that's no one else's fault. That's potentially our fault. That's the fault of things like COVID, plays out of the FA Cup of Nations. We've just had 3 points being just snatched away from us. But ain't fun, it's not fun, but at the same time we have to get on with it. We have to get on with it because this is football. We can't reverse the fixture. They can't award us 3 points. They can't let us play those last few minutes over again. We have to just get on with it because that's the simple facts of things. And we have two massive fixtures coming up against Juventus and Inter Milan, and one of which, the Juventus fixture, even though they're not playing too well, they're getting results, but nonetheless they're not playing too well if you actually watch them play football. What they are good at is obviously sitting deep and whacking out a counter-attack. And I think with players like Morata and Dybala, that is quite dangerous considering the fact we are lacking our first-team centre-backs. We haven't got players with pace like Tomori. I know Kalulu has a bit of pace, but we just saw it in that game. His IQ sometimes is left to be desired. And the midfield as well. Luckily we get Tonali back. The important thing is, and I want to brush on this, is that we needed to be doing so much more in the attacking department. And I think with players like Salamakers, where we've thrown him under the fire because he's not been good enough when it comes to his end product. Some players like Macias have come in and obviously should have gotten that goal the other night. He's someone, I think they're like polar opposites of each other. I mentioned this in the group chat. Salamakers has good build-up play, no end product. And Macias has actually got awful build-up play, but great end product. So they're kind of like carbon opposites of each other there. There's one player though in this whole attacking department. All right, Rafael Leao, he's smashing it. Another goal to add to his locker. I think he's got about maybe 11 or 12 goal contributions this season, which is amazing. Rebic is back in fitness. He's working that up now, and you can see what he can potentially add to this side. The strikers as well are adding goals. There's one player, and we all know who it is. It's Brahim Diaz. He got touched on the podcast a couple of days ago. We're seeing it. We are seeing it with Brahim Diaz, where I think this is not also down to his fault personally. I do think because he's so young, someone like him needs time to evolve as a player and evolve in this league. This is, for me, completely management's fault. We have one player who can realistically play as a starting attacking midfielder. One player, and that's Brahim Diaz. He has no competition, and the fact that he has no competition means his spot is always there, regardless of how bad he plays. What I'm trying to get at is, if we look at the squad players that we have, the players in this squad, the players who are doing really well right now, Rafael Leao, Davide Calabria, Sandro Tonali, even Romagnoli when he's playing his better performances, it's all because competition has come in. Conte was getting the first team minutes, so then Calabria knew it to step up. Rebic was playing well towards the end of the season, so Rafael Leao knew it to step up. Tonali wasn't getting a sniff in as a starter because Pioli rather play Kessie, Benacer, or even Meite at the end of last season. But he stepped up. Romagnoli, Tomori's here now, so he has to step up. If Brahim Diaz has no competition, no one else, like Maldini we can't even consider Maldini because he's so young and so inexperienced. If he has no serious competition for his spot at the attacking midfielder position, he will never improve. And it's also a lot of pressure to pump on the kid because he's very young. He needs to develop. He needs to, obviously, we know he's undersized. He needs to work on his strength. He needs to work on knowing how to have some sort of variation to his game. And it's really hard for him to work that out while he's playing, starting every game. And we keep talking about it. Defensive midfielders are finding him out. He is becoming quite predictable. For me, he doesn't quite have the vision when it comes to passing. I think he's more built as a sort of like a dribbling player. He is more of a supporting striker. And I guess in Italian football, when really defences close out quite well, he's not really going to get that space. So he needs to work on the variations of his game and find his niche in this side. And this, for me, is a management fault. Because if you're not buying in players to, add some... If you're giving him the starting role, that's fine. But add someone else in to give a rotation option. Because if he's not playing well, you need to bench him. And if that might mean playing Macias as a number 10 or Salamakers as a number 10, or really just we should have done was get another option in as a number 10 like a Roman Fiver in the summer, that would have been the smartest way there because we need some sort of rotation or some options off the bench when this ain't clicking. And that option isn't pumping Giroud up top with Ibra and hoofing long balls. What might be, in my opinion, could be a potential option is playing Rebic and maybe whacking him at left wing and then playing Rafael Leao closer to Ibra as a supporting striker. But that means we lose a little bit in midfield and the sort of connecting play with the set midfielders. But for me, we really have to do something about this. I do understand as well that management have their hands tied when it comes to spending. If you really look at our attacking department and what we spent on attackers, it's minimum. Ibra, free transfer. Giroud, near enough a free transfer. Salamakers and Macias, the combined deals are going to cost around 7 million euros each. Brahim Diaz is a high-paid loan. Rebic was a swap deal for Andre Silva. The only player we've spent money on is Rafael Leao, and that was a couple of years back before really Gazidis took a sort of a stranglehold on the budgeting of this team. So I don't think we're going to go out and sign another player that's that Rafael Leao sort of costs money. But I do think there is an opportunity to sign someone between 10 and 20 million euros, like a Roman Fiver, who can really add something to this side. And I don't think we're going to do that this January. We're not going to do that this January. I don't even think, we're barely going to sign a centre-back by the looks of it. I don't want to sort of hammer on and be very negative, but for me this is very concerning because this is a time right now, and I trust management, but this is a time right now for me where we have an opportunity presented in front of us here, and you either stick or twist, and you either take the ball by the horns and go, we're all in, and all I'm talking about here is signing like 1 or 2 players. And however you work that out, and I know it's not easy because it's mid-season, but I just feel like we're going to come away with it going, another January of what ifs. If we really took that January market seriously and we were able to sort of like identify the areas of concern in the squad and the team where we can improve, we could have really been doing better off this season. And my opinion, with the way Tomori's gone out injured, potentially post Inter Milan game, I think it's going to be another one like last season where it's going to be a tight top 4 finish. I'm still confident we'll get top 4, but I still think it could have been a much more convincing thing. We could be, pumping for the title race rather than really having to sort of struggle and finish to get that top 4 finish because we're allowing ourselves to, lower ourselves to the competition below us when we really should be stepping up and going, we're now making the stranglehold to this league, and we're going to be, without a doubt, the best side in this competition. But it's always just something a little bit there. But it's just, this is it really for the video. Really concerning. The referee decisions, we have to just get on with it. We have to get on with it. But for me, I'm concerned going forward in some crucial games where we have a certain player who's not really playing well and we don't have another option for it. Let's see. I'm hoping we need to get a win against Juventus. We need to get a win against Juventus because, we're at home here. I know we've got less fans, but we can't come away, certainly we can't come away with a loss here. But even the draw will not be good, especially when it comes to the title race. We need to get a win going into the derby. But yeah, that's it today, guys. We're going to wrap things up here, and until next time, Forza Milan.